Tony Tutorial. Welcome to Tony Tutorials, Blender Tutorials. Making a movie, no money down, opening scene. And this is a multiple camera to switch from one to the other and try and generate some nice camera panning and movement into your scene. Now, as you'll notice, setting up multiple cameras. Now what I generally do is strip the scene of all textures and the actual models themselves, and I replace it with a marker. So if you've been watching the tutorials, you'll know that this is an obelisk that Melina looks at and walks towards, and she squats before the ancient ship emerges from the desert. So I don't want the big yellow ancient ship down here. It's going to throw my focus, because my eye is going to go towards the colours. All I want is a blank screen, and I want the cameras to focus on Melina and to focus on the ship, which is represented here by this cone which I've added to the scene. Right, now I've added a camera and I've put the camera onto what we call local. Now the reason why I put the camera on local is because I believe it controls it easier on its constraint, on its X, Y, Z axis. I always find this quite, I can bring it down, I can bring it up, square it off again. I like my horizon to be quite level here, or I can turn, but we don't need to do, we're not on a ship, so we don't need to do that. So what I'm going to do is add 2 more cameras into the scene, and I'll show you how to do that. There are 2 ways to do this. We'll use one method for this camera on this side. I want a camera here, I want a camera here. I don't know whether I want an overtop camera at the moment. So let's add a camera. Well, the first camera I'm going to add, I'm going to click on this, which we've got, and we've got it, you'll notice, solid. I'm going to press Shift, I'm going to press D, and that's going to duplicate the camera. There's my second camera, or the other way, I'm going to put my 3D cursor here, I'm going to go to Add, and I'm going to add a camera. Now, you'll notice we can only view through this camera here. Now I struggled with this. It took me a while to figure out. like everything, what you need to do is to have the solid triangle. These are transparent triangles. If I try and switch to this camera, I still have a transparent triangle at the top of the camera. Now what you need to do, you go to Scene, you press Scene, and this box jumps down here, and it says Camera. That's Camera. Open it up, you've got Camera 1 and Camera 2. Always go to Scene. If you don't go to Scene, you will really struggle in finding how to switch cameras. If I go to Camera 1, it's switched to Camera 1. So I got Camera 1 up in the air a little bit, looking at our cone, and if I go to Camera 2, camera 2 is looking at the floor. Well, let's move camera 2. Let's come here, and if we look at our viewport in our camera, see this coming up. It's coming up out of the grid, and it's just pointing at over there. Now I might want this camera to point at Melina, so I'm going to take it down, take the camera down here, move it across a bit. And now I've got this camera here pointing at Melina. So we can go camera 1, camera 2, and sorry, camera 1 and camera 2. Right. Right here endeth this lesson, kids. Just putting your cameras into your scene, going on to scene so you can register your cameras, camera 1, camera 2 and camera 3. I don't want to go too heavy and do 20 or 30 minute tutorials on this, just quick, maybe 6-7 minutes per time, so you don't get too bored. And the next one we're going to use these same 3 cameras, same idea with the empty scene except for the cone, and we're going to work with a constraint and an empty, and maybe doing some zoom ins and zoom out before we re-add our scene, and then maybe some lighting as we go along. So hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, remember, please subscribe. Tony Tutorial. There's Blender tutorials, and hopefully you can make your no money down movie and make some money for yourselves. So you take care, kids, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.